Alright guys, good day. In our last class we were able to discuss some one or two things under Python basics, and the next thing we are talking about is variables. And literally when you talk about variables, they are actually the most important beginner level concept in programming. Variable is very important. Literally even some values or your numbers in some cases, the method that's been put into something, it can also take the them of a variable instantly. So what do they do actually? They allow us to solve or to save values into memory using a name that we are going to assign for it. Are you get what I'm saying? So, and it also lets us to use this value again in a certain particular program, either to run it again or to do anything again. Now how do they work is that you declare a certain particular name on the left side. So the name you declare on that left side with the help of an equal operator. Are you to just like talking about the basics, you can have an equal operator, you can have an equality operator also. You get what I'm saying? And on the right side you assign the value that we want to save so that we can use them later or to use them to run another program later. Are you with me? Now I was talking about equal operator and equality. These two things are different. This is an equality there. These two things are different. So literally if you're a mathematics student, you understand what I'm trying to say. So for Python, that is the way we write the equality, unlike a normal mathematics expression where you write a three line on that and stuff like that. So if you look at this now, how do we know this is a variable? How do we know the value we want to assign for the variable? How do you get what I'm saying? So if you have to look at, it says we declare a name. Now if you look at, I wrote first underscore name. Are you with me? And writing first underscore name, I have equals to crypto. Now I want to figure out something. What's wrong with these two? Just in some seconds. I proceed, I come back to you later. So if you get it, you are good to go. Now, if you are to create that variable, the line where you assign the value, is a step we call declaration. So the point at which you assign the value, literally you've declared a certain particular variable. Now this value that we assign to it will be stored in the memory, and we can what? We can access it. You don't access the value directly, you access the value through the variable that you want, that you encrypt it into. Are you get what I'm saying? So this value we assign to it will be stored in the memory, and what we can actually access it by calling the variable name. That's the first name into quotes, as you can see. Now this quote that I put just to signify, to show you that this is what we are talking about when we talk about the variable, not that it takes quotes. Are you get what I'm saying? I have to note something, that variable name can only contain letters, underscores. That was why you can say I put an underscore here. If I'm to write first as a variable and I wrote name, giving it gap, this could lead to a certain particular error. Are you get what I'm saying? So variable names can come with all this and numbers, but whenever variable names comes with number, that number cannot start the what? The variable. So that is, however, they cannot start with a number. Now at this point now, how do you handle naming errors? Very important. You have to write sport with a capital letter here. Are you get what I'm saying? And I said sport as a variable is equals to what? Baseball. That's coming back to what I was talking about here now. You will see this is a variable, this is a variable. What differentiates this one as a variable and this one as a value? What differentiates them? Simply because we know that this is actually a string, right? But how could you differentiate both of them? A variable doesn't take the quotes. A string will take either your double quotes or your single quotes. So this now differentiates that this is the value it is taken as the string, and this is what? A variable. Are you get what I'm saying? So the same thing we said here. Now, sport is equals to baseball. That is, you can see it as a capital letter as you make a comment on it. And we've talked about comments, right? And the program you want to run, then you wrote print sport, a small letter s, a lowercase s. In that point, if you run the program, it will be giving you an error output. Because of what? The name error is that the name sport is not going to be defined in the program. See, because it doesn't understand what you are trying to say. What you are calling for the function doesn't understand. So at that point, if you have to change either this to a short letter, that's sport in short, then you print it, then it gives you what? Baseball. Are we clear? So that is one of the important things we want to discuss again in just some short minutes. My name is Crypto Quanta. Thank you. Alright, so moving on with our starting examples, we said that we have data types examples, and we are going to be talking about this for, like, basically before we enter into it, in a full then we talk about, we have what we call a certain data, which is integer. And integer is sample value is you having 5, and they're literally whole numbers. That is, it can actually be a positive whole number or a negative whole number. Now we have what we call floats, and these are literally based on decimal values, decimal numbers. 5.7 is an example. Boolean is actually a logical expression which deals with a true or false question using 0 or 1. Other binary literally classifying it that way. So a true or false statement, and we'll talk about strings. String, just like we have talked about the other time, we said that it is characters literally within quotes, and the example is an hello character. So what else do we talk about is the print statement. And what do you call the print statement? You guys are familiar with it. You've used it. Whenever you want to start the program, print is the important thing there. So it actually helps you to output information to the user. Whatever you put into the particular quoted brackets, you'll be asked to print. This is a particular function which you have been given. Literally, it helps you and gives you the output, right? So the print statement is what we usually call function. Under function, we are still going to break it much more down and extensively. But for now, just note that down. So the way it works, like I said, is by writing the keyword print, then followed by the parentheses, that's the bracket, then your strings, and whatever you want to put into there, then surely it will give you the output. So when we talk about the first certain data type, which is very common, literally all languages uses integers. So usually we call it integers, or at times we call it ints. Ints or ints, the plural them. So they are like I said, positive or negative whole numbers, and they have no decimal point. That is why in some cases in mathematics, we I'm not a mathematician. So mathematically, if you are to have something like 8.01 and you are being asked to approximate this to one decimal point, you should know that this will literally be what? 8.0. So this zero is not ignored. It is counted as a decimal value. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that's why it's very important to understand some certain particular category. Now we use a comment by saying these following are integers, and if you are to print 2, if you have a certain particular little app you use to run program, baby's program, just like we are also doing here. So this will surely give you 2, and this will give you 10. Print 2, print 10. It obeys your command. And the second thing we talked about is floats. Like we had said that anytime a number has a decimal point on it, they are known as floating point data types. Are you with me? So these are examples of floats. If you are to print 10.953, this is 10.953. Sorry, I don't have a good handwriting. So literally, even though it's a single decimal value that is there, till any amount, it is a float. Are you with me? So if you are to print 8.0, you are going to be having 8.0. This is also a float. So you can put it there. Literally, you can say this is also a float. I comment. So our answer gives us 8.0 if you have to print this out. Basically. So let's move into the other one, the boolean and the string. We are talking about them just, when you have to just script something off, they are much more important things to them. Alright, so the next one, we move into the booleans. And the boolean is either a true or a false statement, literally, or a false value. And mainly it is much more very important in a lot of logical way. So it can't be assigned any other value other than being true or being false. So, and also again, it's mainly used to check if something occurred. Are you get what I'm saying? Alright, literally, let's assume that, okay, if you and your opponent, let's assume your opponent, you wanted to do a certain particular program, and feel like, okay, if this certain particular person literally, if he's dead, so no, let the person lie down. Are you get what I'm saying? So literally, the person is still playing, and if you have to print being dead for that particular point, we give it false because of literally the person is not what lying down. Are you get what I'm saying? So it's just much more like a etymological reasoning there. Now, these are the following are booleans. If you have to print true, you have true as your value, and if you have to print false, you have what false. Like I said, do not mind my handwriting. So sorry. Now, if you guys have to look at, literally, I wrote Python, but that's not Python. So this is Python. etymological reason. And literally, you should have noted that if you are someone that has a catchy view. So, talking about strings though, now you see strings are very complex. They are needed in all certain aspects of you programming, you doing things. Strings are, much like you say, the president. Let me just put it that way. So they can also call them string literals. They are also called string literals. And strings in Python, they are arrays of bytes that are representing Unicode characters. Now, what are these single code characters that it holds together? You have characters itself, you have symbols, you have numbers, you have white space, you have an empty space, and even a space that is between the quotation marks. Also, million of them are consist of, but it comprises of the strings. Are you get what I'm saying? So, and also again, we can use either a single quote or a double quote in order to create a string. Now, there are some cases where you need to know what aspect of quote are you to use for your program and which one is coming like a normal quote. Don't worry, we get there also explain that. Now, whatever is wrapped inside that quotation mark, we consider it as a string, even if it is numbers. So you have to look at it, you have to print this is an empty space. So this is printed out nothing. And if you have to print I love eating, this will give you what? Your output as what? I love eating. And also you can see a single quote here. If you have to print true, this will still result into what? True. And you get what I'm saying? So for some, you have a certain particular personal reference that you would be given, most cases utilizing a double quote. So that is that. See you on the next aspect. We're talking about variables and stuff. Please like, subscribe. Thank you. Alright, good day guys, how are we doing? So literally we'll be discussing much more on a certain important aspect, which is Python basics. And literally the important one I want to discuss with us today is the comments and the basic data type. Now literally when you talk about comments on Python, you all know what they call comments already. And even as at a normal lingua franca basic, that what do we call comments? When you talked about something, you comment on certain particular thing. And what are comments in Python is that it is much more like an accessible or a readable menu that makes you understand the process at which you are going through. Are you with me? Or even for someone else to read or go through your program and also still understand whatever you are trying to explain in the program. You get? So it makes it much more easier instantly to to understand. And also again, why we use them is that they are being used most cases for cumbersome projects. When the projects are too much, a tedious work, you would need to put in some comments so that you won't so that you won't make mistakes. Let me just go that way, or make errors. Are you getting what I'm saying? So at that particular point, there's also one important thing that you need to know is that the comments, they are always ignored by the interpreter. So that means whenever you are writing a particular comment in the program you are running, the comments are literally being ignored. Okay. So when you are writing comments, how do you tend to write comments in Python is that you write comments using the hash. That's your normal hash symbol. And like we said, any text that follows after the symbol would be commented out. So example, let's assume I wrote, this is an example of a comment. You are good. This is a certain particular comment. You get what I'm saying? So, sorry. At this particular point, if you have to look at this second example, it says print hello and a comment which means I love Python. At that point, if I'm to run this program, what I'm going to have only is going to be, my output would be only hello. Are you with me? So the I love Python would be ignored. Why? This is let me say a simple line comment. A line comment. Are you guys what I'm saying? So even though they are being written together, so far the hashtag breaks the two of them, differentiating them, this would be ignored. Now there's something we also call a multi-line comment. A process whereby it makes you to write a series of comments or a series of paragraph and explaining literally, should I say bitterly, explain a lot of certain particular things. And whenever you want to utilize a multi-line comment, you use three quotes, a double three quotes, opening it and also closing it. So example, something like this. So if I have to write anything here, literally from anything I want to write generally as a multi-line comment, and I couple it up with my closed quote. In that point, let's assume I wrote print. This is a lot of comments I've written on this particular program, and I wrote print hello and also a line comment again of sweet Python. In that point, whatever my result would be, all this will still be ignored. Are you with me? So multi-line comment is there to write series of comments, a lot. you know. And I do tell people that don't make comments too much in your program in order not to cause a problem of whereby you start looking at, okay, this one is that, this one is that. It can cause issues. So make it, and don't make it something that you start writing anyhow. Don't just write anyhow based on, okay, I want to understand better. I know, write it in a way whereby you will understand, but it should be in a logical way also, you know, no, in a manner or a sense that would much more be easier. Don't just write history and you say you're writing comments, bro. So if you are to look at this now, this will give me a quote of still hello. So that is what we need to understand literally other comments as a basic aspect. Like I said, I'm not programming here and I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to give you some hints on important things that you might feel like, okay, this is also, you know, useful. So when we talk about data types, there are different categories of data types. I get what I'm saying, and almost all languages use data types. The data types are how we define values like words and numbers. Obviously, and if you have to look at, let's say that we all know, we have to say you are a good boy. Like I said, sentence, they are made up of words, or we say characters. So these characters in Python, we usually call it what? Who can tell us that? Just a second. And if you actually say string, you are correct. We call them string. So they're called strings. So at that particular point, let's move on to some certain particular data type and let's get used to some of them. Should we say practically? And later on, we can start using some of them effectively.